Welcome to session 1 of Calisthenics Kidz, where we're going to look to build strength, confidence and skill through bodyweight training. We're going to be bringing you one session every day, working on a different skill. Let's get mum and dad involved, let's have a safe space to actually start training, and let's see if we can have some fun with bodyweight movements. No equipment needed, and today's session is going to be on a Frogstand. So as I said, pillows nearby, making sure we're working in a safe space. Grab one of these, you'll need it for a challenge later. And let's work on today's challenge, which is going to be a Frogstand. So a Frogstand, for those of you who don't know, looks a little something like this. So we can literally make ourselves hover off the floor, and it's a pretty cool trick for us to learn. Before we get started, we're going to go through some basic mobility stuff and strength stuff to help us get in this position. Mum, Dad, if you're watching, comment below, let me know you're there. And let's get to work on our Frogstand. So before we start that, we're just going to go through some simple exercises to help condition ourselves to perform the movement. Kids will probably find this easy. I'm going to try and keep this session a little bit short and sweet, because if you've not worked on your wrists before, then this might be a little bit difficult for you. So firstly, we're going to imagine we're almost a boxer in the ring. We're going to have our hands side to side, and then from there, all we're going to do is bob and weave ourselves side to side. You might feel your hands starting to come up. For now, let's just try and limit that, just for the time being. We're going to play around with where our shoulders are. If we're feeling really creative, we can take our knees off of the floor to try and increase the strength demands required. Now let's go palms facing us, elbows nice and straight, and then we're going to sit our hips back in between our legs. So side on view, this is what that looks like. We can point our feet flat if we feel like we've got that in the locker. And finally, we're going to point fingers towards this way and just push our shoulders forward, so we're really stretching those wrists out. Again, if you're feeling confident, you can try and take knees off of the floor, but if you've never done anything like this, it's going to be pretty difficult. So let's just shake those wrists out. The next thing we're going to do is warm up our upper body for pushing through the floor. So we're going to start in the top of a press-up position. So what I'm looking for, if you're doing this at home with me, is making sure that your hips and shoulders are in one nice straight line. So if I'm in this position here, I'm not piking my bum up in the air, I'm not pushing my hips down to the floor, one straight line. And another key point we're looking for when we're doing this is that we are gripping the ground. Imagine that you're a bear or some kind of monster, clawing at that ground, and you're pushing as hard into it as you possibly can. You'll notice the difference if I'm here versus if I'm pushing as hard as possible. You'll see me almost change height from here to here. So from this position, this is where that toilet roll is going to come in handy, because all we're going to do is push hard through the floor. We're going to take our feet wider than shoulder width. We're going to take this toilet roll, we're going to pop it on our back, and then grab it from the other side. And then we're going to try and come back the other way. Now if there's 2 or 3 of you doing this, you can pass it along the line, stay in position before it comes back around. If you're feeling super strong, you can bring those feet in. Will the toilet roll stay there as you push it on to your back? Key thing we're looking for whilst we're doing this is that we're not just waving our hips from side to side as we're doing this. So if you watch, if I show you from behind, if you can see the hips falling out. So if I'm in this position and as I'm tapping my shoulder, I'm twisting my hips. That's what we want to try and avoid. Not a pleasant view there, I know. JP, good to see you, mate. Hope you're following along. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, next challenge we're going to look at is something called a bear crawl or a bear tap. So all we're going to do, hands directly under shoulders, knees directly under hips. From this position, we're going to push hard into the floor, and we're going to get our hips and shoulders level. So we're not in this position here, we're not arching through our back, we're just level. And all we're going to do, can we take one hand and touch the opposite shoulder. Whilst we're doing this, we should be pushing hard through the floor, so we should really feel this arm working. And we should also feel that our tummy feels like if we hit it, it should feel pretty rock solid. We're going to go for 5 on either side. If you're feeling super strong, you can even take 1 foot off as you do these taps. You'll have to get the taps done all on one side before you swap over. So we've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and have a rest there. Now what we're going to do, just while we're stretching our wrists out, is we're going to go on to our first variation of the Frogstand. Key things we're looking for here, we're gripping the ground and pushing through it as we're doing it. The higher we keep our hips in this movement, the easier it's going to be to find that balance point. Keep pillows nearby if this is the first time you've done this, or mum and dad nearby if they're helping you out with this. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the easiest variation. We're going to pop our elbows on the inside of our knees. The lower we are to the floor, the easier this is going to be. So start by gripping the floor, and from this position we're going to start in as deep a squat as we feel like we're able to. My hands are going to go in front of me, and all I want you to practice, we're not going to come off the floor yet, is just going from this position up onto your toes. So feet are still on the floor, and we're just pushing as hard into the floor as we can. So we're going to do that for 5 seconds. So push hard for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and have a rest. Now the higher your bum is in relation to your chest, the easier this movement's going to be. What you'll often find is when people try the Frogstand for the first time, is that they either can't manage to lift their feet because they are literally in line with them. What that would look like is this. If your hips and shoulders are in line, as soon as you take the feet off, you're going to fall down. So we're looking for that bum to be up nice and high. We're going to shove our head forward because this is where we're going to find it much easier to balance. On this second go, if you struggled with the first one, we're just going to repeat that. But if you're feeling somewhat confident, what we're going to do now is just try and point one of the toes behind us. Remember, we're looking for the hips to be slightly higher than the head. And all we're going to do, we're not going to think about lifting the toe off or pulling it away fast. We're just going to point it behind us. So what that looks like is this. So I'll show you first, then you can have a go. So elbows on the inside of the knees. And from here, we're going to shove our body weight forward and push that bum up in the air. I'm going to get up onto my toes as best as I can, and from here they shouldn't really be having much weight on them. I'm going to push hard into the floor, and then I'm just going to try and point one toe behind me. And all I'm going to do is stay in this position, pushing hard for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and have a rest there. Now we're just going to, if our wrists are feeling a bit tender, we're just going to gently rock side to side. This will feel a bit weird if you've never played on your hands and wrists before. When we're doing this, keep those elbows nice and straight and just gently rocking from side to side. Now let's try them this way around again. Arms nice and straight, so we can start to rock side to side with them, and we'll probably feel that stretch a little bit more. In our next Frogstand, we're going to try and point both toes behind us. So we should be able to get fully off the floor. So we're going to do one final stretch before we get there. Try and lean as far away as you can without that hand popping off. And now let's try that Frogstand. So all we're going to do, if we felt comfortable taking one foot off, we're now going to point both toes. And when I say point them, we're not just picking them off the floor as fast as we can. What some people will make the mistake of is they will end up doing this. So they'll be in this position here, they're not really pushing through the floor, and they just point their toes and claps. What we're looking for is gripping and pushing down on the floor nice and hard. Hips are higher than our head. Head is almost making a triangle on the floor. And then from there, if you feel confident, we're just going to point one toe. Now you should feel a lot of this through your arms whilst you're doing this. If you don't, you're probably sat too far back, or you're putting too much weight on your legs. So let's give that a try. Hands flat on the floor, elbows into the knees, and then from there, all you're going to do, if you're able to, you might even find you tip forward a bit further, point one toe, then point the other toe. Can we stay there? Keep pushing hard for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you're able to, just sitting comfortably in the bottom of a squat. So we're starting to get towards the full frog stand now, so we're nearly wrapping up today's session. So I'm just going to give you a few seconds to go and grab yourself a toilet roll, and we're going to finish with a little movement challenge of the day. So level 1 of the movement challenge is just simply, can your foot touch the toilet roll which you're going to leave behind you? If you're doing this as a pair or as a 3, then let's see if one person can have a go first, so anyone else who's there can help provide feedback. How high are the hips? Are you pushing through the floor, or are you just simply getting lazy and resting on your hands? So for example, if I come here, I can rest on my hands here. You'll notice my feet almost instantly want to touch the floor. If you look at my hand here, and I'm pushing hard into it, you notice the difference between me being here and resting on it versus me pushing down it. So I'm gripping the floor. So onto our little challenge. We're going to start with the toilet roll behind us. From this position, we're going to keep our elbows into our knees. We're going to rock forward, and you might need a bit of help repositioning the toilet roll for this one. All I want to see, level 1, is can you touch it with your toe? So that's level 1. We're just simply touching it, seeing if we can avoid falling over. Level 2 is, can you touch it with both feet at the same time? So this is what level 2 would look like. Let's try it from the side. So toilet rolls behind us, elbows inside knees, and then from this position here, can we get to a position where both feet can touch the toilet roll? Can we hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now if you're feeling pretty strong at this point, here is my final challenge to you. The challenge is, can you pick the toilet roll up with your feet? So toilet rolls behind us. I want to see it in the air for 5 seconds, not allowed to touch anything down. This is the final challenge for today. So I'm going to push hard down into the floor. I'm going to make sure it's appropriately positioned behind me. And then from this position, can I pick the toilet roll up with my feet? Oh, failed. If you're doing this in 2s or 3s, it's going to be much easier to have a partner place it down behind you. So let's see if we can pass this. And if you can, tag me in it so I can share it, because as you've seen, not an easy task. So toilet roll behind. Hands gripping and ripping in the floor, so pushing hard. Can I hold my frog stand? I'm in a position to pick up the toilet roll. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So there we have it, our frog stand lesson of the day. If you manage to complete it, tag me, and I'll see you in the next Kids Calisthenics Challenge. Not just child's play, parents get involved as well. As you've seen, we've got levels of difficulty for us to have some fun with. Let's build strength, confidence and skill with bodyweight training, and bring mum, dad, kids, whoever together in doing something that's purposeful in this time of lockdown. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you in the next episode.